and a one and a two and since my baby loved me. Let's see, this should work. We should be recording right now. Just doing sound checks, you know. Let's see. Heartbreak Hotel. Sorry, I've been watching Urkel. Don't even ask. All right, ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? How you feeling? I hope you're feeling great. Today's a great day to be alive. Happy Thursday. All kinds of blessings going on. Just a great day, man. I'm just excited to be alive. Are you excited to be alive too? I thought so. Yeah, you definitely are. So you know what we're doing? We're here for our reading. You know, we doing that reading thing we do so well. And you know, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes when you're reading books right before you go to bed, you know, you got to join me, DeMarcus Tunstall, for Bedtime Book Club. What you think about that? Pretty good, right? Oh yeah. Join me today as we read from our book, As a Man Thinketh, and our chapters we will discuss today, the thought factor in achievement, and also vision and ideals. All right. And here's your host, DeMarcus. Oh yeah, Tunstall. Oh man, I'm having a blast. But yeah, I made that yesterday. Big shouts out to Bitmoji for giving me that one. That was pretty cool. I made that myself with the Bitmoji guy, but that's me whenever I look right. Anyways, I'll wear my suit next time. How about that? Yeah, that's what I'll do. How you guys doing? Everybody doing good? I hope you're doing well. Also, just want to let you know I've been running. I've been keeping my jogging up. So, you know, that's day 2. Today will be day 3. And I'm actually kind of fiending for it. Like in the middle of the day, I want to go running. But I like to run at night for some reason. You know, maybe because I'm afraid that a dog's going to bite me in the butt. And I got to run faster. You know, that's good sprint training right there. You know, but yeah, it should be a really good time. But let's just get started, man. Like I said, I hope you have a great day and having a great day. And we'll have a great day from here on out. So here we go. It is, As a Man Thinketh, and the first chapter is the thought factor in achievement. Here we go. All that a man achieves and all that he fails to achieve is the result of his own thoughts. Is it like me? Okay, hold on. Is it me, or do they just come out every single chapter with like the first sentence hits you in the face and knocks you down for at least a 4, 5, or 6 count? You know what I'm saying? Like it almost was a TKO from that. You just want me to close it and go, here, that's it. That's powerful. So all that a man achieves and all that he fails to achieve is a direct result of his own thoughts. Ladies and gentlemen, that just means that you can achieve anything if your thought patterns are in the right place. That's so big. All right, here we go. In a just ordered universe where loss would mean total destruction, individual responsibility must be absolute. A man's weakness and strength, purity and impurity, are his own, and not another man's. They are brought by himself, and not by another. They can only be altered by himself, never by another. His condition is also, and not another man's. His suffering and his happiness are evolved from within. As he thinks, so is he. As he continues to think, so he remains. That means if you keep that same mindset that you've been thinking about since before and you haven't changed anything, you will remain in the same place you are. So if you don't like where you are, sometimes it's time to change. But people don't like change. Well, because change is not easy. And people prefer easy because it's easy not to think about having to breathe. It's easy to think about not having to walk, but things just happen, right? So do something different if you want a different result. A strong man cannot help a weaker man unless the weaker is willing to be helped, and even then, the weak man must be strong of himself. That's a big deal for me, ladies and gentlemen. One of the biggest things I learned from my mentor, Marlene, is that I, like many people, I don't like to see people suffer, and I do what I can to help people out. But I've come to realize over the time I've been alive that, you know, I will step into situations where I see people suffering to make sure they don't suffer. But it is in that suffering that they create the power to move forward within themselves. By me stepping in and alleviating that pain for them, means that I am actually doing the work for them. It's like you going to the gym and you want to have a six pack and I'm doing your sit-ups for you. You won't become strong because I think it's too hard for you. I do your sit-ups for you. That's a big deal. That's a huge deal. A strong man cannot help a weaker unless the weaker is willing to be helped. And that's the other thing, that you can help somebody all day long, but it doesn't mean that they are willing to let you help. MW is a great example of that, and she knows who she is. And even then, a weak man must become strong of himself. He must, by his own efforts, develop the strength which he admires in another. None but himself can alter his condition. It has been usual for man to think and to say, many men are slaves because one is an oppressor. Let us hate the oppressor. Now, however, there is amongst a increasing few a tendency to reverse his judgment and say, one man is an oppressor because many are slaves. Let us despise the slave. The truth is that the oppressor and the slaves are cooperators in ignorance, and while seeming to afflict each other, are in reality afflicting themselves. A perfect knowledge perceives the action of law in the weakness of the oppressed and the misapplied power of the oppressor. A perfect love, seeing the suffering, which both states entails, condemns neither. A perfect compassion embraces both the oppressor and the oppressed. He who has conquered weakness and has put away all selfish thoughts belongs neither to oppressed nor oppressor. He is free. A man can only rise, conquer, and achieve by lifting up his thoughts. He can only remain weak and abject and miserable by refusing to lift up his thoughts. Before a man can achieve anything, even in worldly things, he must lift his thoughts above slavish animal indulgences. He may not, in order to succeed, give up all immorality and selfishness by any means, but a portion of it must at least be sacrificed. A man whose first thought is bestial indulgence could neither think clearly nor plan methodically. I mean, if you want to throw back, fellas, you'll know about this. Ladies, you might know about this too. But like back in the day when you were younger and, you felt that urge and, young lady got your goat going, you know what I'm saying? Like you weren't thinking about the right thing to do. Think about high school. You were doing all kinds of illegal things, stealing cars, anything possible to handle your bestial indulgences. So that's a true statement for sure. But we got to take control over those because, let's see, a man whose first thought is bestial indulgence could neither think clearly nor plan methodically. He could not find and develop his latent resources and would fail in any undertaking. Not having commenced to manfully control his thoughts, he is not in a position to control affairs and to adopt serious responsibilities. He is not fit to act independently and stand alone, but he is limited only by the thoughts which he chooses. There can be no progress, no achievement without sacrifice, and a man's worldly success will be in the measure that he sacrifices his confused animal thoughts and he fixates his mind on the development of his plans and the strengthening of his resolve and self-reliance. And the higher he lifts his thoughts, the more manly, upright, and righteous he becomes. The greater will be his success, the more blessed and enduring will be his achievements. The universe does not favor the greedy, the dishonest, the vicious, although on a mere surface it may sometimes appear to do so. It helps the honest, the magnanimous, the virtuous. All the great teachers of the ages have declared this in various forms to know that a man has but to persist in making himself more and more virtuous by lifting up his thoughts. Intellectual achievements are the result of thought consecrated to the search for knowledge or the beautiful and true in life and nature. Such achievements may be sometimes connected with vanity and ambition, but they are not the outcome of those characteristics. They are the natural outgrowth of long, arduous effort and pure, unselfish thoughts. Spiritual achievements are the consummation of holy aspirations. He who lives constantly in the conception of noble and lofty thoughts, who dwells upon all that is pure and unselfish, will, as surely as the sun reaches the zenith and the moon its full, become wise and noble in character, and the rise into position of influence and blessedness. Achievement of whatever kind is the crown of effort, the diadem of thought. By the aid of self-control, resolution, purity, righteousness, and well-directed thoughts, a man ascends. By the aid of animality, indolence, impurity, corruption, and confusion of thought, a man descends. A man may rise to the high success in the world and even to lofty altitudes in the spirit realm, and again ascend into weakness and wretchedness by allowing arrogant, selfish, and corrupt thoughts to take his position and take possession of him. Victories obtained by the right thought can only be maintained by watchfulness. Many give away when success is assured and rapidly fall back to failure, meaning that, ladies and gentlemen, you got to keep that pipeline full. If you're doing great things to achieve great things, you can't stop because you reach them. That's just the start. You got to continue through your process. All achievements, whether in business, intellectual, or spiritual world, are the result of definitely directed thought, are governed by the same law, and are the same method. The only difference lies in the object of attainment, what you want. He who would accomplish little must sacrifice little. He who would achieve much must sacrifice much. He who would obtain highly must sacrifice greatly. And that's the end of that chapter. That chapter's pretty good, ladies and gentlemen. You can be as great or as little as you want to be, but it's all your thoughts. It'll take you up, it'll take you down, it'll take you all around, just like the hokey pokey. And that's what it's all about. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the last chapter of this today is going to be Visions and Ideals. The dreamers are the saviors of the world. As the visible word is sustained by the invisible, so men, through their trials and sins and sordid vocations, are nourished by the beautiful visions of their solitary dreamers. Humanity cannot forget its dreamers. It cannot let their ideals fade and die. It lives in them. It knows them as realities which shall one day see and know. Composer, sculptor, painter, poet, prophet, sage, these are all makers of the afterworld, the architects of heaven. The world is beautiful because they lived in it. Without them, laboring humanity would perish. He would cherish a beautiful vision, a lofty ideal in his heart, one day realize it. Columbus cherished a vision of another world, and he discovered it. Copernicus fostered the vision of multiplicity of worlds and a wider universe, and he revealed it. Buddha beheld the vision of spiritual world of stainless beauty and peace, perfect peace, and he entered it. Cherish your visions. Cherish your ideals. Cherish the music that stirs in your heart, the beauty that forms in your mind, the loveliness that drapes your purest thoughts. For of them will grow all delightful conditions, all heavenly environment. Of these, if you remain true to them, your world will be built at last. To desire is to obtain. To aspire is to achieve. Shall man's basest desire receive the fullest meaning of gratification, and his purest aspiration starve for lack of substance? Such is not the law. Such a condition of things can never obtain. Ask and receive. Ask and receive has been in The Secret, Law of Attraction, the Bible, this book, and there's some other ones that I probably read to you. It's everywhere, ladies and gentlemen. You got to learn how to ask and receive what you, and believe. There's another one that you have to believe it too, but that's awesome. Dream lofty dreams, and as you dream, so shall you become. Your vision is the promise of what you shall have one day. Your ideal is the prophecy of what you shall at last unveil. The greatest achievement was first and for a time a dream. The oak sleeps in the acorn, the bird waits in the egg, and in the highest vision of the soul, awaking an angel stirs. Dreams are the seedlings of reality. Your circumstances may be ungenial, but they shall not so long remain. So if you perceive an idea and strive to reach for it, you cannot travel within and stand still without. Here is a youth hard pressed by poverty and labor, confined long hours on an unhealthy workshop, unschooled, and lacking all the arts of refinement. But he dreams of better things. He thinks of intelligence, of a refinement and grace and beauty. He conceives of all mental buildup and an ideal condition of life. The vision of a wider liberty and larger scope takes possession of him. Unrest urges him to action, and he utilizes all his spare time and means, small though they are, to development of his latent powers and resources. Very soon, so altered, has his mind become the workshop that can no longer hold him. It has become so out of harmony with his mentality that it falls out of his life as a garment is cast aside. And with the growth of opportunities which fit the scope of his expanding powers, he passes it out of it forever. Years later, we see this young youth as a full-grown man. We find him a master of certain forces of mind, and he wields with worldwide influence and an almost unequaled power. In his hand, he holds the cord of the gigantic responsibilities. He speaks, and lo, lives are changed. Men and women hang upon his words and remold their characters, and sun-like, he becomes the fixed, luminous center round which innumerable destinies revolve. I love. Okay, so he, by doing his growth, let me read this line again. He becomes the fixed and luminous center around innumerous destinies revolved. Ladies and gentlemen, you could very easily be the reason that somebody changes and grows and becomes something better and creates something that's great. E.T. said it one day. He said, sometimes the reason that someone is not where they're supposed to be is because you didn't get there. You haven't done what you're supposed to do. And if that's the case, ladies and gentlemen, you're missing out on a lot, because there's a lot of people who necessarily may want to do something more, but they don't know how. And you're the example. You're their light. So I need you to step up and be that light. So he has vision. He has realized the vision of his youth. He has become one with his ideal. And you too, youthful reader, will realize the vision, not the idle wish of your heart, be it base or beautiful, or a mixture of both. For you will always gravitate towards that which you secretly most love. Into your hands will be placed the exact results of your own thoughts. You will receive that which you earn, no more, no less. Whatever your present environment may be, you will fall, remain, and rise with your thoughts, your vision, and ideals. You will become as small as your controlling desire, as great as your dominating aspiration. In the beautiful words of Stanton Kirkham Davis, you may be keeping accounts, and presently you shall walk out of the door that for so long has seemed to you the barrier of your ideals, and shall find yourself before an audience, the pen still behind your ear, the ink stains on your fingers, and then you shall pour out the torrent of your inspiration. You may be driving sheep, and you shall wander into the city, and open mouth you shall wander into the intrepid guidance of the Spirit, into the studio of the Master. And time after time he shall say, I have nothing more to teach you. And now you have become the master who did so recently dream of great things while driving sheep. You shall lay down the saw and the plane to take upon yourself the regeneration of the world. Thoughtlessness, the arrogance, and the indolence, seeing the only apparent effects of things and not the things themselves, talk of luck, of fortune, and chance. Seeing a man grow rich, they say, how lucky is he? Observing another become intellectual, they exclaim, how highly favored is he? And noting the saintlier character and wide influence of another, they remark, how chance aids him at every turn. They do not see the trials and the failures and the struggles which these men have voluntarily encountered in order to gain their experience. have no knowledge of the sacrifices they have made, of the undaunting efforts they have put forth, of the faith that they have exercised, that they might overcome the apparent insurmountable and realize the vision of their heart. They do not know the darkness and the heartaches. They only see the light and the joy, and they call it luck. They do not see the long and arduous journey, but behold the present goal and call it good fortune. Do not understand the process, but only perceive the result and call it chance. In all human affairs, there are efforts, and there are results, and the strength of the effort is measured by the result. Chance is not. Gifts, powers, material, intellectual, and spiritual possessions are fruit of effort. They are thoughts completed, objects accomplished, visions revealed. The vision that you glorify in your mind, the ideal that you enthrone in your heart, this you will build your life by. This you will become. And that's the end of this chapter. Ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty big. A lot of people do that, especially when it comes to other people's successes. They assume it's something that they've gotten immediately, and they don't know how much work you put into it. You see somebody at the gym with a six-pack, you don't think about the food processes of suffering, or I guess not suffering, but things they had to give up to get that, and sacrifice that they had to get that, the time in the gym they had to do to get that, the sleep they had to give to get that. The people who have made themselves millionaires and created companies that have hired many have done a sacrifice to get that. They have given up things to get that, but we don't see that. All we see is somebody who owns a company. And ironically enough, we have the audacity to condemn them because they make more money than we do. But yet inside of us, there is something that can be given, that can be grown and can be great. But we choose not to accept it. We choose not to put the energy into it, the fertilizer into it to grow that plant. But by growing that plant, we create something that we can never imagine. We don't know the effects of how our greatness will create greatness in others. But it is within those greatness and that greatness piece that we will succeed and others will succeed right after us. And our greatness is the stepping stool to somebody else's greatness, which is the stepping stool to a whole better life for everyone. But it takes you stepping out into what you must do for yourself. So find that dream that's in your heart, find that goal that's in your heart, in your mind, in your thoughts. Remember, it all starts up here. And harness that and don't let go. It doesn't matter if the coronavirus is here or not. You got to keep on going and keep on growing because there's something that you need to give the world. The world needs you to give it. And as soon as you do, the world will be a better place for it. And that's all I have for you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for being here. I appreciate you. We have one more section of this book tomorrow, and it is called Serenity. And I guess it's so good that I actually put all when I first read this. So this is a really good chapter that's coming up. But I believe and I love in each and every single one of you, ladies and gentlemen. And once again, I want to thank you for coming to Bedtime Book Club. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you have a great night. I'm going to go put these long johns on and go hit this run real quick. Let's go do this. Have a blessed night. Stay well, and I will see you tomorrow. God willing. God bless.